All right, next on our agenda, we've got airport requests. We've got 20 minutes for this agenda item. And is Ben presenting on this one?
It's actually me, Brandon Burns.
Brandon. Okay, perfect, Brandon. Please go ahead. If you would also share with us your title for those who are listening in.
Sure, yeah. Airport Finance Director and Administration.
Great, please go ahead.
Okay, so the first item here is the CDOT grant and project for seal coat pavement maintenance to runway 30 left. This runway needs rehabilitation, and it's also been identified by CDOT for grant to help with reimbursement of the expenses. A little background on it: runway 30 left had new asphalt put in 7 years ago. So because of the time frame, it's just in need of a rejuvenating seal coat to help protect against existing wear and tear. And let me get to my video here. Sorry about that. There we go. Existing wear and tear, and to help prolong its life. Total estimated cost of this project is about $500,000. And then the CDOT grant will reimburse 90% of that. So that leaves the airport responsible for $50,000 of the total expenses. This project was included in the adopted budget for 2024. And so we are just looking for your approval on the grant and the project in moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions on this one?
No questions.
Support.
Thumbs up.
Or 3 supports?
Thank you. Okay, next item. This will be the third amendment to the purchase and sale agreement with Ryan Companies US for the purchase of lot number 2 at Verve Innovation Park. And a little background on this: lot number 2 over at the Verve is approximately 25 acres. And Ryan Companies signed a purchase and sale agreement with Jeffco back on March 14th of 2023. Currently, the scheduled closing date is to be no later than May 22nd of this year. But with this proposed amendment, Ryan Companies is seeking to amend the closing date to June 26th of this year. Reason for the requested amendment is complexities of the investor's documentation and closing requirements, which is they're just needing additional time on that. Fiscal impact: the gross purchase price of this particular lot would be $10.3 million in the sale. So we are just looking for your blessing on amending it and extending that closing date just over another 30 days.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
No questions. Thumbs up.
Okay. 3 in favor?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, and then the last item for us, this is just a rebrief, just due to 6 months ago, we ran out of a little bit of time, but this is for the unleaded fuel tank and then grants that will be associated with it. You're all pretty familiar with it. We're desiring to purchase and install an unleaded fuel tank out at the airport. Currently, there is no unleaded fuel that's being offered. And we've also been identified to receive a federal and a state grant to help fund this project. So we're just seeking approval to provide unleaded fuel for aircraft. This has also been approved by the FAA to start offering this at airports. We recently purchased a fuel tank for the unleaded fuel, or I'm sorry, a fuel truck for the unleaded fuel, but would now like to purchase and install up to a 12,000 gallon unleaded fuel tank. And then in reference to grants, we've been identified by the federal government to help fund up to 90%, and then also the state up to 5% as well of these expenses. In terms of dollar amounts, The actual tank will cost up to $189,000. And then the installation process could go all the way up to $700,000. We hope that won't happen, but we could see that potentially.
Great. It's exciting to see this come together in terms of unleaded fuel and having 12,000 gallons, worth, and the tank that you mentioned as well. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
I do have a question. Looking on here under fiscal impact, under ongoing or one time, it does say one time, which certainly everything I'm looking at here seems to be one time cost. Just double checking. So once this tank is in place, and we have the truck, and having been there for when the truck was literally rolled out, and I know that there's signage on the truck. I imagine there will be signage on the tanks, and this is absolutely unleaded fuel. Don't mix it and all of that. Is there any ongoing cost for training or anything like that, so that airport staff and our FBOs, if they're purchasing out of here, that that we need to consider any ongoing cost for having an unleaded fuel tank and an unleaded fuel truck, so that we don't end up mixing it up?
Yeah, good question. So what the plan is for us in the purchase of these items, we are planning on purchasing, well, we already purchased the truck. And then when we purchase the tank and any system that would accompany the tank, the airport's not in the business to serve fuel. So what our plan is to, right now, we're going through other discussions on how exactly we want to do it once we acquire the equipment. But we would then hand that over in some form or fashion to the FBOs, who are the fuel experts. And they do have their own type of trainings and procedures in place to separate and not mix up any of the fuels that they would have. So that is what we plan to do. We don't actually plan on serving the fuel ourselves. So this is just acquiring of the actual equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Great support.
Yeah, thumbs up from
Support. 3 thumbs up. Thank you so much for the presentations. We appreciate it.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So the other thing is, I just wanted to give an update on the CNR. Last we met was right before the CNR meeting, in which there was a vote coming up to be able to discontinue the CNR. So nothing is straightforward. The vote came up. There were 3 communities that were prepared to vote no on the initiative to end the CNR. And then there was one community that their community had talked about leaving the CNR, and they said they submitted their 30-day notice, but the person they had to submit it to was themselves. So there was some question about whether they really did submit their 30-day notice. Yes, because you can't just say I did. And the suggestion was they should have sent us all copies of it. So that was a little funky right there. And I don't know where that's gonna go. Well, the funkier part, which is the only word I could think of, is that there were 3 communities that did not talk about it yet, and will be talking about it, even though they knew the vote was coming up and they didn't notify the chair that they hadn't had a chance to be able to talk about it yet. But more interesting is that there was one community that was prepared to disengage from the CNR, but wanted everyone to do it together in a kumbaya manner. So it was the weirdest meeting you ever did see. So it's going to be coming up next month again. So we'll see what happens. I'll just say I was totally misquoted in the paper. I gave a brilliant speech, brilliant. Wasn't it brilliant?
Actually did a very nice job.
It was just brilliant about how baffled I was that we would look at discontinuing the avenue to work with the FAA, the avenue for consumers to be able to issue their concerns, and the avenue for impacted communities to work together. I thought that was brilliant. But what the newspaper reporter heard was I was baffled around why communities would criticize us. I don't, not real sure. It's a reporter I like, so I think he was just having a confusing day. So we'll be back beginning of May. Anything else I missed?
No, I think that's a good summary. It was odd and awkward, and I was a little bewildered through listening to a portion of it, and you did do a very good job of explaining your position on it.
Thank you. And I thought John Marriott from Arvada was great.
Mhm.
I thought Dave Dumont was really great. I will tell you, I have contacted a number of people and suggested that Dave Dumont be given a recognition or an award because he is just getting beaten up, just horrendously, both at his own council meeting, but also there and on emails. He is just being whiplashed, like you cannot believe. So I think he needs to be recognized that he has held firm.
Great, thank you for that.